Hi, and welcome to our second episode of the Hawkins Sound Ranch Artist Series, brought to you by Trench Brewing and their delicious peach iced tea. And today, tell us a little bit about yourself and introduce who you are, what you do, and why we love you.
My name is Justin Gendreau, and I like to play drums, and that's why you love me.
Cool. If you don't mind, tell us a bit about how you got into playing drums.
Well, a friend of mine back in high school, we were 16, I think in grade 10, and he rented a drum kit for a month. And it was just like game over from there.
Hell yeah. What high school was that?
Tsawwassen, South Delta Secondary.
Oh shit, okay.
Yeah.
Were you at Riverside? Like, how did we just have a mutual friend that we met and the crew hung out together, right?
Right.
It was through Willie then, right?
I was going to say Chris Farrelly. Clayton.
Oh shit, okay.
I think that's who it was.
Right.
The Farrelly brothers.
Oh my God, yeah. Dude. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. That's very cool. We've known each other forever. When did you become a touring musician?
That was more recently. I normally just played shows like with bands in the town that I lived in for the most part. It wasn't until I moved up north to BC from Vancouver that started branching out a little bit more and traveling out of town to go do the summer festival circuit.
And I, from what I hear, you're very well known for doing the summer festival circuits.
We're getting there.
One thing that we talked about last time, I wanted to ask you how many projects you're currently involved with, but also talk about the new band that you're in.
All right, Tarantula Hawk.
Yes.
Okay, so this is the newest project of mine and Nathan Kelly's and Brady Martin's. So Nathan Kelly is kind of like the brainchild of it, and he had these songs. And the idea was kind of for like a stoner doom metal rock band kind of thing. And then we had never played with Brady before, so it was kind of new. It was great to bring someone new into the mix, and we started getting together in Nathan's basement. And yeah, it's been a blast helping to write those songs, to be a part of them. And we've just played one show so far. At the Legion, and then our next show is going to be the Friday before Halloween, and that's going to be at the Knox Church.
How many other bands are you currently playing with?
It's been 4 consistently recently. I am a part of other projects, so some of them don't get together as often. But yeah, right now, so it would be Tarantula Hawk, Patchwork, Sid Baez Wilson, Grid AM, and Pitted.
Cool.
And yeah, then I have like a couple other groups I get together with sometimes. Just doing like jazz trio stuff, things like that.
And speaking of that, what makes music interesting for you?
It feels like the freedom of expression and another way to express myself, like without using words, just using rhythms. And really, no matter what happens in my day, if I can just sit down behind a drum kit for like 10 minutes, I can just feel like any stress or anxiety melt away. And it brings me a lot of peace and just like the solid outlet in my life that it's better than watching TV.
So I don't know, because everybody listens to music differently. When I put on the headphones, I listen to everything. Guitars, bass, I separate everything.
Right.
The thing that I really love about your playing is when you put on the headphones, you've got so many different levels of things going on musically and dynamically. We talked a bit about that earlier today.
Right.
Like I really love the shit that you do on the hi-hat, for example. And then I just love because they're little accents that I don't know if other people pick up on. Okay. And that's something I really love about your playing. Right on. When you're listening to music, is that how you listen to music? Or like if you're listening to a really fucking killer drum sound, what does that look like for you?
Well, man, that's kind of tough to say because there's so many different killer kinds of drum sounds out there, right? And I guess it's about like what's most suiting the vibe to what you're doing, right? Like how much time you got to talk about a snare song, right? Like sound. It's just like it gets crazy, right? With all the plugins, how you record it, where the
for
mics
those
are,
of you
so many
that
things.
don't know, Justin and I literally spent about 20 minutes just discussing the snare sound on a project we're working on, but it was all good.
So to answer your question, I know there's so much that goes into it, but yeah, just trying to like play to the song. And I think, because sometimes you can get carried away with a fill and you're just like, oh, am I just like trampling over someone's lyrics though? Because I want to do that here, but it's trying to, like add interest without like taking away from everyone in the group, right?
Right. Your fills to me remind me of like early Who, fucking crazy, like
right on.
I love that. It's there's like a powerful, some recordings you hear it's like and it's like I could have used a bit more gusto or something,
Right.
and I really like your playing for that. It really you just really feel it, and I love the emotion and energy that you put into it, so thank you for that too. Justin's also a session player here, or anywhere for that matter. What's the last song to give you goosebumps?
Okay, I would have to say Bounce Part 1 and 2 by Nate Smith. And he's just, he's one of my favorite drummers these days. It's hard to pick a favorite because there's so many good ones for so many different reasons. But just the way he carries the groove. And I like a lot of instrumental music as well. Sometimes I feel like lyrics are just kind of overrated.
As a writer,
there's like a mood for things, right? There's a mood for
there
things.
For sure.
Like, at least half the time I listen to music, if not more. And I just like the vibe he sets up, and with the horns and everything. And it's just one of those grooves that gives you goosebumps.
What is when you're listening to a song? What is your process for writing a drum part in your head? And I know you talked earlier about what serves the song.
Right.
If you mind hitting about that a little.
Right. So just thinking about what is the bass guitar doing? What is the guitar doing? If that's the instrument, what are the rhythms of the instruments involved? Like, where are the cadences to the lines? If there's vocals, where are those? Where do I want to accent them harder or play more in between them? And dynamics as well. Thinking about, okay, when's it going to get loud and quiet and all that kind of stuff. Okay. So there's a lot that's all going into it, and it's I guess figuring it out, since I am playing a rhythmic instrument. It's like when I want to be together with people in unison and when I want to be playing like in between them. And then you can hear just the way people compose some things. Sometimes they'll leave like a little space or like a long note at the end of a melody, and that's like could be a good place for a drum fill.
Right.
Or something like that, right? So, stuff like that, along that nature.
What to you makes Northern BC, specifically Prince George, a good music hub in your opinion?
For myself personally, it's because there's not a ton of drummers around, so I can get a lot of work. But I think more than that, it's BC is a great province, and we're basically right in the middle of it. So, there's a lot of opportunities to go do shows anywhere down Highway 16, over the coast, over the Haida-Gwaii, or you go south, Kamloops, Kelowna, go all the way to Vancouver, head east to Alberta. So, and I've noticed too, like living here over 10 years now, that there's like it feels like more touring bands coming here than maybe used to a few years ago. And a big part of that is like Danny Bell, Natalie Productions down at the Legion there, bringing a lot of bands. Also, Almanica Arts Center. Mm-hmm. They're bringing a lot of touring acts in as well. So sometimes you go see like, a crazy show on a Tuesday night there. And it's awesome. So it's not always just the weekends anymore that you might catch a really, really great show. And as well, just the caliber of local talent as well. There's so many great local bands. And meeting new people all the time, doing it. And it's cool to see the younger up and coming guys as well.
Is there something that you feel that the Prince George music community, whether it's a venue or whatever, is there something you feel that they could be doing better? Or we all could you know, because it is one tight community. Is there something that,
right.
or is there something you'd like to see?
Question.
Like, is, you know, I know that, you know, there was talk about having that a new music venue here, and then after COVID, that all went out the wayside. Right. Or did it? I don't know. Yeah. I heard they took down the stage. You know, do you think that another venue is needed, or are we good with what we've got? Or,
well, there's the Knox Church now. That's a venue, and there's shows happening there. I think Studio 2880 is pretty heavily involved in that, and so that's and it's a larger capacity too than the Legion in Dominica. Oh, okay. So yeah, I think that has some potential there. But yeah, to go with your question, like, okay, so even being at the Legion, and a lot of that is, you know, happening, like people doing the door and stuff through like volunteer work. And it's the same thing at Dominica too. And so to answer your question, I think it would be cool to see a little more people get into volunteering at shows and helping out. And it's a really good time. It's a great way to see a show. And yeah, I think if we just had a larger pool of people doing it, then it would just make it a little bit easier for everyone. But in general, I think things are pretty great, and it's on the up and up, and I'm happy to be a part of it.
Cool, man. Cool. Great answer. Last but not least, how long would you say you were doing this? 20 years now? About?
Yeah.
Or more? A little more than 20. Yeah. Yeah. In your 20 years, is there, you know, hey man, you're still young. There's time. Right. But as of now, is there a project that you're most proud of in your 20 plus years of playing? Is there something that stands out to you where you're like, fuck yeah, that was just perfect? Or gave you goosebumps, or it emits emotion when you listen back to it?
There's a few highlights for sure. But one of them was a couple years ago at Kispiox, playing in the hall there with Pitted. Because to me, that band was probably the one band that I was like most involved in, kind of like the creation of the songs, and to have that like finally come together like at that show, it was amazing, and just seeing people like dancing and yelling her name too. I don't know, it was cool. like cool. It felt great, you know. That's cool. Yeah. I know years ago when I lived in Vancouver, there was a band I played with, Mike, and we had like all original music, and we played the Commodore Ballroom with a couple other local bands from Vancouver, and that was a highlight for me too, because it was just like I've seen some of my favorite artists on that stage, and just like going on that stage too was like holy, like, you know, that was a bit of a milestone. It made me super nervous, but like in a good way. You know? Right.
I mean, that's like every hockey arena. That's home ice right there, right? Yeah. Yeah. I love the Commodore. Justin, thank you very much for the interview. Thanks for sitting down with us. Thank you for creating such great music in our community. Check out our next guest coming up. Won't say who it is, but I think you're gonna love her. Oh. Until next time, thank you again. Thanks to our sponsors. Thanks, Justin.
See you, Corey.